Average at Best Cornhole here with another compare video.
Yeah, we got some Titans in the ACL with these bags. We got the BG Mercenary L and then the Ultra Psycho Rs. Reason we chose these ones is they're supposed to be slower bags. You know, they both have OG carpet on them, but they're a little different than most other bags with OG carpet because those are normally a little bit smaller, fuller. These ones kind of feel and play larger, and they're a little floppier. So we figured we'd break them down a little bit for you.
First, we're going to start with the speeds, and their website was a little confusing when we looked at it.
Yeah, it's like they give their speeds in a range, and Ultra says that the slow side is a 5 to 6 for this material. Now, I mean, it does play a little bit faster. I don't know what they do to it, but I don't think it's 6. It was all over the place. And then BG says that slow side is a 3 to a 4. Now, the Psycho R, it does have an 8 on the fast side, which is a little different than the Mercenary, which you'd call that fast side a 9. Moving on to the template, we're going to start with the Psycho Rs. Now, it does have like a large to extra large template to it.
Yeah, I really like that because we're not really used to that type of bag.
Well, what he's saying like is normally that slower carpet, you know, it's smaller and fuller, but with these ones, you know, they're a little bit thinner and looser to them, which is, you know, a little bit different than what we're used to. And then the Merc Ls, you know, they do have like that medium to medium large template. They are a little bit lighter, but since, you know, the template is a touch smaller, they're going to feel a little bit fuller to you. So moving on to fill and flop and the Merc Ls. Now, obviously, these are going to be, you know, a little less floppy than what the regular Mercs are because they are the L version, and they do have BG's L fill, which you would find in the Wizard L. The Psycho Rs, now they also have, you know, a mixed fill to it, and they're really bouncy and really active, and you can feel some larger beads in there.
These ones are a little more floppier because of the larger template. We're going to talk about what stood out to us.
What stood out to me with the Psycho Rs is how bouncy they were. They were a little bit active. They didn't really kick that much. There's like more bounce to them. So, you know, doing some of those other shots like rolls and maybe flopping over piles would be a little bit easier with these. And I think the larger template, the loose, and, you know, and the fill in there, like there's a lot of room for that fill to move around inside that template. So therefore, when it smacks the board, you know, it can pick up and roll over. The Merc Ls, what really stood out to me for these ones is, you know, with BG's L fill, it was really easy to transition from like a hybrid carpet bag to these bags. So say, you know, you approach super fast boards or something, and it's a little too fast for your favorite hybrid bag. These ones were like an easy replacement for that because they really didn't play like a traditional, you know, OG carpet bag. Next, we'll talk about something we didn't like.
With the Rs, sometimes when you landed too close to the hole, it skipped over.
And I think that was from that extra bounce I was talking about. So the bounce is good for certain things, but then it's not good for other things. I also thought that these things really had bad speed consistency, which is odd with this material because it usually plays a little, you know, pretty consistent, and humidity, it might speed up some, but the speed was all over the place with those bags. The Merc Ls, I didn't get a ton of action with them, which I thought I would have. Now, I can't do all the crazy shots, but sometimes, you know, you see a lot of kicks, and, you know, you do see the bounce that you'd see in that R, and then you could tell that, you know, people are going to be able to roll these bags super easy. I didn't see that in them. What they were to me was just, you know, a really good hole runner on fast boards. We're going to get to the meat of this comparison with the slide up. And first off, I want to say, I mean, both these bags are great. I enjoy throwing both of them. I have played both of them a lot. And the similarities and differences in them are, you know, little. So we're going to be nitpicking here. And just because I say one's better at something, in my opinion, it doesn't mean that the other bag is not good at that.
If you like watching our videos, make sure to like and subscribe on the page.
Yeah, it really helps the channel grow a little bit, and it lets us know that we're doing well. On to forgiving, and I would say the Psycho Rs, you know, yes, they were sort of forgiving when you talk about kicks, but they weren't forgiving when you talked about bounce, and that's what I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, these Mercels were probably a little more forgiving.
Whole bodiness, and this one's kind of hard to judge because normally OG carpets you would never really say they're hole friendly because of the slower carpet. So therefore I'm going to give it to the Psycho R's. They have a little bit more flop, so there's a greater chance of that corner catching and it falling. And plus with the inconsistent speeds and them playing a little bit faster than the Mercels, that's always going to help them, drip into the hole.
On to collectability, Mercels all day, definitely.
Yeah, I thought the Mercels did collect better. This goes to them being a little bit fuller. And also, if you had one off to the side, it seemed like even with that slower OG carpet, you could grab that better, nudge it in closer to you so you can clean it up on the next bag. The Psycho R's, they seem to bunch up a little bit more. And I've experienced that, when they bunch up like that, sometimes they bunch up and miss. Where that is good, though, and the advantage of the Merkel doing that is that if there's someone else has blockers up there, or there's some traffic and stuff on the board you want to get around, you throw that bag and put a little bit of tilt on it or whatever, and sometimes it bunches up and squeezes through all that, and then finds its way to the hole. We're going to discuss the playability of these two series, and the Psycho R and the Merkel too, I guess. Advanced players, they're going to be able to do whatever they want with these bags. It's what the bags are made for with that slower carpet. It's going to stick and grab, so making rolling and flopping and all that easier. Even with the Psycho R's, being a little bit looser, that's actually sometimes easier for some people to do that with. And we did experience a lot of bounce with those bags. For me and, probably most people, I think the Psycho R's are going to be a good all-around bag. You can cut them a little bit. They do slide fairly straight. There isn't a whole lot of kick to them. The speed inconsistency gets in there. Sometimes you got to try them out, but they have that bunching, and you can squeeze in those tight areas if you need to get around stuff. The Mercels, I stated earlier, I felt like this was a great replacement for like a hybrid bag, especially on fast boards or even someone that throws, too hard, because it is a little bit slower than your typical hybrids and probably even herringbone also, even though herringbone technically is a carpet bag, but it is really good at hole running, and it is an L version, so it is loose. There is enough flop to catch that hole and get in when you need it to. Our overall thoughts on these, and the Psycho R, I do like that bag a lot. The speed inconsistency, for some reason, I still don't know why that's there with it. It had me a little confused. What I really like about it is since that larger, floppier template, it's going to be similar to other larger, floppier bags. So if that is your style, here you have a slower replacement for that if you need it. The only problem is you have to try to bag out a few times on the board to, figure out if it is going to be a little bit slower. The Mercels, on the other hand, I think it's great because it is that direct replacement for hybrid material bags. Now, it is slower, so it's going to be really good for, those hard throwers or super fast boards. Most people might be a little too slow for, but it's a great replacement. So that's why I keep it around. If I ever do need to bump down to a slower bag, now I'm familiar with BG's template, and this, feels similar to some of their other bags, like the Wizard L and the Sorcerer.
If you want to be average or something, you might as well be average at cornhole.